Something I did? When I wrote this, I had no idea it would be requested someday. The Rude Awakening. Or Use a Woman, Go to Hell. I live in the heart of Hollywood, in a first-floor apartment, in a building that was built the same year as the Etzel, with the same success. Having lived in a secluded garden house for 6 years, prior to its demolition, with brothers and sisters of a like-minded path on either side of me, I was innocent, or rather ignorant, of the responsibility connected with an easily accessible apartment dwelling. In fact, I left the garden house door unlocked the entire 6 years I was there, and the worst thing that ever happened to me was that someone secretly left an ugly throw rug on my floor as a gift. I was protected, and I knew it. When I decided to rent the cottage cheese ceilinged apartment, I was desperate to find a place. The day I moved from the garden house, the bulldozer nearly ran over my shoes. My main consideration was to recreate an outdoor ambiance in this shrubless encampment. After first and last, a cleaning fee and a pet fee, we had a goldfish, I had a few $100s to play with. Other than a complete set of paper dishware, my main investment was in 20 plants and 2 sets of yellow-flowered gingham curtains that create the illusion of spring I so need to feel organic. It never occurred to me that you could see through the curtains at night if you really tried. My bedroom faces an elderly couple's garage, and I couldn't imagine they would risk climbing the fenced gas meters under my window just to sneak a peek at younger flesh. In a way, the apartment was luxury living to my daughter and me. 2 bathrooms, 1 actually works, and a kitchen with a sink. The garden house had a sinkless cooking area. I washed the pots in the bathtub, which didn't bother me as much as taking a bath with several grains of buckwheat groats that somehow eluded my sponge. What the new apartment lacked in charm, it made up for in location. 4 blocks from the Comedy Store, 5 blocks from my daughter's violin teacher, half a block from Vita Health and Chalet Gourmet, and 45 feet from every passing stranger. What an opportunity to be more in touch with the real world. It was good for my craft and satisfying to my soul. A taste of New Yorkness. It was September 23rd, 1979, 3 a.m. I'd been living here about a year, so life in the busy lane had created its own routine. As usual, I caught the comic on Carson and skimmed through People magazine while half listening to Tom Snyder. I faded out during the news rerun, so the test pattern was hissing. I love to sleep under pressure. My husband, who lives 5 blocks away, was not my idea at first, but now I wouldn't trade the arrangement for longer legs. Usually calls around 2:10 a.m. to tell me to turn off the TV so I don't burn out the tubes and die from radiation. He didn't call, but I wouldn't have heard the phone anyway. It was 103 degrees in the bedroom, one of those California Indian summer nights where I must be near death before I'm blessed with the mercy of sleep. Because of the intense heat, I opened my sliding window to about 5 inches. I put the dowel my husband gave me for such occasions at the bottom and adjusted the lock at the top. I laid down on the bed, kicked away the covers, struggled with my Oz t-shirt, and just managed to remove it when I drifted into the quasars. I must have been out there for 45 minutes when a prowler wandered down the 1-foot-wide weeded alley, leading to the gas meters under my bedroom window. Peering through my gingham curtains, the ones you can see through if you really want to, he viewed my nude physical form in the light of the hissing television. He then proceeded to lift the sliding window out of its slot and wedge it forward, just enough to fit his young, wiry body through. What? A strange man in my bedroom while I'm sleeping naked on my bed? Okay, I know it sounds like I was asking for it. After all, I was in my bedroom with no clothes. I should have been sleeping in the shower, lights out. It's so weird to be the only one that knows something's funny, it really is. Anyway, suddenly I feel a tap on my shoulder. Suddenly I feel a tap on my shoulder and I look up to see a man I have never before in this life seen. Well, since it's this life I'm currently worried about losing, I said, to which he replied, "Don't scream or I'll kill you." I thought, how unoriginal. Besides, really meant, this is the rudest awakening I have ever experienced. Because I have Libra rising and I am compelled to weigh everything, I had to ask myself, why was it so rude? Well, this man had removed all my choices. I had no choice but to get to know him immediately. And yet, like all of life's paradoxes, within the realm of that choicelessness, I still had the choice as to how I was going to handle it. At first I thought I should sing, "Whenever I feel afraid, I hold my head." And then I thought, that's a poor choice. I don't think I want to say erect in front of this man. I considered asking the casual, "So where are you from?" But I figured if he really knew where home was, he probably wouldn't be in my house. Finally it came to me, go for something you have in common. Now what in heaven could that be? Oh, you silly, God. Talk about the Creator that created both of you. More choices. Should I talk 5 books of Moses, Quran, Kabbalah, Bhagavad Gita, Buddha, Allah, Jehovah? No, I think I'll talk Jesus. Plain, sweet Jesus. Because it's real hard to stay horny when you're talking Jesus. Unless, of course, you buy your art in Tijuana and you're used to making it under a Dayglow print of the Last Supper. I kept repeating, Jesus loves you. He wants you to go. If you go, it will be a blessing. But if you stay, it will be hell for eternity. It wasn't like I was trying to usurp his power, I just wanted him to use it wisely. I actually got him to admit that he believed in God, just before he put the pillow over my head. At which time I said in muffled tones, "I am beginning to lose trust in you." Which may sound like an understatement, considering this relationship had no chance from the beginning. Though it was clear to me that he had not accepted the fact. He kept repeating, "What's your name, baby?" More choices. I didn't want to say Lotus. I thought he might think it's 260s and want to kill me. I considered saying Mary, but I thought virgins might be a specialty, nothing too extreme. So I said Marlene instead of Marlena. I dropped the A from the end because it opens up the sound and gives it a more invitational ring. Then he told me he was leaving as he straddled me, and I thought, this is not the way to the door. I could not believe it had progressed to this stage. I usually pattern my crises to stop on this side of real danger. I mean, we're talking major scar tissue on my daughter's memory if she wakes up. I knew then why I had never asked for my favor from the universe. I was saving it up for this moment. I mean, I've been in a karmic holding pattern for 12 years, practicing harmlessness ever since my paradigm shift, my change in consciousness. Suddenly I felt a new vibration, like a zipper being opened. I wasn't certain if it belonged to the universal portfolio or my intruder supply. In any case, I knew the conditions were changing. Out of nowhere, I heard another voice screaming, "Move 1 inch, you son of a bitch, and I'll blow your fucking brains all over the wall!" First, I thought it was my husband who had come to kill me because he finally found me in bed with a black man. But what if it's the police and they do shoot his brains out? His brains are so close to mine. It was the sheriffs. Big macho sheriffs, and I loved their bigness and their ballsiness. I was so glad they were macho men. My intruder was now curled up at the bottom of my bed like a worm in its pre-cocoon mode. I flew into my daughter's room, who was just waking up from the shouting. I grabbed her, I kissed her, threw her in the closet and said, "Everything's fine." Which is what I was doing, everything's fine. The sound of breaking windows and orders to open the front door confused me momentarily. I was still naked. Priorities. Should I think about cellulite at a time like this? No, I think not. So I fluffed my hair out wider than my thighs and I opened the door. Thank you, officers. Thank you, officers. I love you. I'm sorry about the 60s. I never called you pigs, and I don't think you killed Lenny Bruce. Thank you, Jesus. You do save people. Thank you, stand-up comedy, because you taught me how to ride my adrenaline in the face of death. Thank you, my upstairs neighbors, for loving me as you love yourself. You're wonderful. And thank you for listening to your intuition and for calling the sheriffs because you heard scratching at the window and a faint cry of distress. And thank you for being black, so my daughter wouldn't think all black men equaled hurt mommy. Another experience shared in California. I was so exhilarated and so humbled by it all that I was filled with compassion for my intruder. I was certain he'd be born again. I really cared. I prayed, and he was born again, but to his wicked ways. He told the arresting officer that we'd met at the supermarket and I invited him over. 8 months later, I was actually attacked again by another man who did not care about my goals at all. After the second attack, I said, never again. No one will ever hurt my child's mother again. And I took the most effective martial arts course. It's called Freeze or I'll shoot your dick off. A lot of people say, you know, Lo, you sound real hostile now. It's not hostile. The guy gets a 5-second option to fall to his knees and say, I am being far too aggressive, could I phone the police? Then he gets to keep his dick. I think it's damn decent. My first intruder just completed a year in jail for attempted burglary. I'll continue praying for him for my newer apartment. The second, well, I'm not sure, but I think this soulless slime bucket just completed a 3-picture deal at Canada. If after hearing my first-person story on rape, it appears that I am making light of a serious issue, consider instead that I've merely put this issue in a light where I don't mind looking at it. It's enough that the rude intruders gained entrance to my home, and nearly my body. My humor keeps them from entering my soul.
Yeah.